In the shadowed chamber of the Galactic Council's observation deck, alien delegates watch in stunned silence as Earth's fleet unexpectedly annihilates a Council cruiser. Confusion and fear ripple through the Council as they struggle to comprehend humanity's brutal message. Meanwhile, Earth's flagship commander readies for war, their cold final word reverberating across the void. There will be no negotiation. The observation chamber hung in eerie stillness, its windows framing the cold blackness of space, punctuated only by the Council's great cruiser, the Ithrax, drifting into view. Its iridescent hull gleamed beneath the artificial starlight of the orbital station where the delegates gathered, ornate beings of multiple limbs, shimmering bioluminescence, and delicate, translucent wings. They watched, enthralled and anxious. Murmur rippled across the chamber as the Council's chief observer raised an appendage, signaling silence. The Ithrax's sensors suddenly flickered, the first indication that something was wrong. Without warning, a series of blinding pulses erupted from the dark void nearby. A fleet of sleek, angular vessels emerged from a seemingly impossible cloak, their hulls shimmering with a nanotech adaptive camouflage. The flagship ISS Vengeance moved forward, releasing a burst of electromagnetic pulse that disabled the Ithrax's shields and engines simultaneously. Alien cries echoed through the chamber's comms as the cruiser's hull ruptured, caught off guard. Impossible! They violated the peace accord, shrieked Elder Ziffor, his many eyes wide with horror. The explosion blossomed like a nova of fire and metal shards. No warning, no negotiation, just annihilation. Why now? Why betray the Council? Whispered a trembling envoy, voice cracking under the weight of panic. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Commander Elena Riker's gaze was steely, unblinking as the Council's last transmissions crackled through the silence. Protocol Alpha 7-4, she murmured to herself, fingers poised over the console. Her voice was low, almost serene, but laden with unyielding resolve. They betrayed us first. No parley, no mercy. She reached out, activating the comm silence across the fleet, a mighty, symbolic act of war. Behind her, her science officer, Dr. Malik, whispered, "Their technology, their complacency. They never expected us to strike first, let alone so ruthlessly." Elena's lips curled in a cold smile. "Underestimate humanity again, and they'll pay with extinction." A shadow of dread swept through the alien council chamber, a power shift rippling across the galaxy. The humans had arrived, not as diplomats but as executioners. The council's long-held belief in human docility shattered in a heartbeat. "Prepare the defense fleets," the council leader barked, voice trembling. "This changes everything." But on Earth's fleet bridge, a single line echoed like a vow etched in steel and fire. "We're not here to negotiate." Back on Earth, tensions simmer beneath the surface as humanity's leaders grapple with the consequences of their fleet's unyielding stance. Commander Riker reflects on the Council's betrayal and the sacrifices made. Meanwhile, the science team discovers unsettling signs that the Council anticipated Earth's counterstrike far earlier than anyone suspected. The cold blue light of Earth's orbital command station bathed the war room in an icy glow, casting long shadows over tense faces. Maps of star systems blinked relentlessly on holoscreens. Lines of movement traced the paths of hostile fleets, each trajectory a pulse in the growing storm. Commander Elena Riker stood silent by the central console, her jaw clenched as the weight of the first strike's aftermath pressed on her. Around her, diplomats and generals debated feverishly, some pleading for restraint, others for total annihilation. "The Council underestimated us," Riker said quietly, voice heavy but resolute. "They thought Earth was a backwater planet with primitive weapons and little will to fight," a young admiral scoffed. "Primitive? They've seen what our nanotech swarm does to their capital ships." Elena's gaze hardened. Primitive or not, they betrayed every treaty ever signed, and their complacency nearly cost us everything. Behind the frosted windows, the sprawling Earth rotated silently beneath them, a planet scarred by centuries of war and survival, now poised to become the galaxy's unexpected reckoning. Dr. Malik, her science officer, approached with a data pad, his expression troubled. "Commander, our analysis of intercepted Council transmissions suggests they weren't caught unaware. Their predictive algorithms forecasted our strike weeks ago." Riker's eyes narrowed. "They knew we'd come. Why didn't they prepare? Or were they hoping to draw us into a trap?" Malik shook his head. "Not exactly. It looks like they wanted us to act first, to justify their own mobilization of fleets under the guise of self-defense." A bitter laugh escaped Elena. "Typical. Manipulation, deceit. Their weapons aren't just missiles, they're lies." The room grew colder still as Riker stared out toward Earth's fragile horizon. "We carry the weight of countless sacrifices. Every pilot, every soldier who's died, they believed we could change the narrative, not bend the knee." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "But now, there's no turning back." Her mind flicked to Lieutenant Torres, who had lost his life during the Ithrax strike, an officer who had begged for caution, for dialogue. And yet, here they stood, Earth's fleet reborn from betrayal, silent and deadly, the hum of the stations. Life support mingled with distant echoes of war preparations. Outside, hidden deep within cloaked shipyards, engineers worked feverishly on gravity well disruptors and EMP projectors, technologies refined in secret, now their blunt instruments of vengeance. Riker reached for her comm unit, sending a coded order that rippled through the fleet. "Prepare for full engagement. No mercy. No negotiation." She closed her eyes briefly, feeling the shadows of doubt creep in, but pushed them away. Because Earth was no longer a planet to be underestimated, it was a crucible forged by betrayal, and it would burn brighter than any star. Delving into humanity's hidden military archives, the fleet's historian reveals the ancient galactic conflicts and betrayals that shaped Earth's ruthless defense doctrine. The past and present collide as memories of lost worlds fuel the crew's determination to fight, even at great cost. Deep beneath Earth's surface, far from the war room's sterile glow, the ancient vaults of the global archives hummed with dormant power. The air was thick with the dust of forgotten wars, and the faint pulse of quantum storage servers held memories older than any living soul aboard the fleet. Dr. Lila Harrow, the fleet's lead historian, traced her fingers across a holographic display. Star maps flickered, dotted with battle scars, and the names of worlds lost to betrayal, Abathar, Merkel, Zenthos, each a ghost whispered in Earth's collective memory. "We weren't always the hunted," Lila said softly to Captain Wren Miles, her voice carrying a mix of reverence and warning. "There was a time when humanity was a backwater, ignored, dismissed by the Galactic Council as a minor threat." Miles nodded grimly. "Then came the Purge." Lila's eyes hardened. The Purge. When the Council turned their blades inward, conquering entire systems to consolidate power. Earth was nearly wiped out in the first wave, but our scientists developed nanotech shields and adaptive gravity wells, the technology the Council thought primitive. She swiped, revealing grainy footage from long-forgotten battles, firestorms, raging across shattered planets, fleets vaporized in seconds, and humans standing defiant amidst ruins. "The Council believed fear would break us," Lila continued, "but it forged us instead. Our military doctrine, relentless, ruthless, was born from sacrifice and survival." Captain Miles clenched his jaw. "And now they think they can dictate terms after centuries of betrayal?" "They always underestimated us," Lila said, eyes distant. "They never understood the depths of human resolve, the death world mentality, Fight or die, no surrender. A low hum vibrated through the vaults as the AI assistant, Argus, interjected in its calm monotone. Historical data, cross-referenced with current council activity, indicates an uptick in covert attempts to infiltrate Earth's nanotech networks prior to the Ithrax incident. The two exchanged a look. This wasn't just war, it was a chess game spanning centuries, with lives as pawns. Miles shook his head, the weight of history pressing on him. So their betrayal was never just political, it was personal. Lila smiled thinly, which means our response must be more than retaliation. It must be a reckoning. Outside the vault, the distant roar of engines echoed, the fleet preparing for the next move. But inside, humanity's ghosts whispered of blood debts unpaid, fueling a fire no alien council could extinguish. And as Earth's fleet rose, so too did the ghosts of the past, ready to claim their due. The first major battle erupts near the Outer Rim, with Earth's fleet unleashing cutting-edge EMP weaponry and gravity well disruptors. Alien warships, once thought invincible, falter against humanity's ruthless tactics, but at the cost of heavy human casualties. Psychological warfare intensifies as both sides face the horrors of war. The vast emptiness near the Hesperus Rift simmered with tension, the calm before the storm. Across the void, Earth's fleet emerged like a silent predator, sleek, angular, and lethal. The ISS Vengeance led the charge, its hull glowing faintly with adaptive nanotech, a chameleon in space. Opposing them was the Galactic Council's assembled armada, colossal, multi-winged dreadnoughts, their shields pulsing with ancient energy and centuries-old confidence. "Target their command vessels," Commander Elena Riker ordered, voice a blade cutting through the tense hum of the bridge. "Deploy EMP bursts to disable their shield generators, follow with gravity well disruptors, trap their fleets." The bridge exploded with activity as human engineers worked in perfect synchronicity. Unleashing the first salvo, a ripple of electromagnetic pulses surged forward, silent, invisible, but deadly. Alien ships flickered, their once impenetrable shields sputtering, systems failing one by one. Elder Zypher's flagship shuddered violently. "Impossible! Their weapons, they bypass all our defenses." But the humans didn't pause. Gravity. Wells detonated, unseen but crushing, pulling alien ships off course, their formations shattered like glass underfoot. Below deck, Sergeant Mira Laskin gripped her rail, the shriek of twisted metal and alarms around her a brutal symphony. This isn't just war, it's a slaughter. Her squadron's fighters weave through debris and plasma bolts, the smell of ozone thick in recycled air. A lieutenant's voice crackled over comms, tense, urgent. "We've lost 3 fighters." "To plasma turrets! Shields at 20%. Mira's breath hitched. "Hold formation! Protect the frigates!" The battle twisted into a deadly dance, human ruthlessness clashing with alien desperation. Yet amid the chaos, a psychological war played out. Alien captains, once proud and calm, now frayed and frantic. Their weapons fired wildly, their tactics devolved into panic. On the Vengeance, Elena's gaze remained cold steel. "They're breaking, push harder." But the cost was clear. Reports streamed in, fallen comrades, lost lives. A young pilot, barely 19, was already gone. The weight of each loss pressed on Elena's chest like iron. In the midst of the carnage, Dr. Malik whispered to her, voice heavy, "Why do they react like this? Fear, confusion. But they expected us. Because they never imagined we'd "But like this," Elena replied. "They forgot what it means to survive on a death world, the sky lit with fire and wreckage." The Council's armada faltered, scattering. Victory came at a price, a grim testament to humanity's resolve, but a reminder of the sacrifices war demands. As silence finally fell over the shattered battlefield, Elena stared into the void and vowed this was only the beginning. captured alien prisoners reveal the Council's internal fractures and fears about humanity's capacity for vengeance. Human scientists uncover shocking evidence of the Council's covert attempts to manipulate Earth's technology, deepening the sense of betrayal and rage. The holding cells aboard the ISS Vengeance were cold and unforgiving. Metal cages suspended in the starship's underbelly, bathed in harsh white light. Inside, alien prisoners from shattered fleets sat in silence, their once proud postures broken. One, a wiry envoy named Kreltar, glanced nervously at the human guards. "You do not understand. The Council's actions are not unanimous. There are factions that fear your fury." Commander Elena Riker stood across from him, arms crossed, eyes sharp as a blade. "Fear is an understatement. They betrayed Earth, gambled with our future, and lost." Kreltar's many eyes flickered. "The Council sought control, to contain you before you could threaten the balance, but some among us wished for peace." Elena's voice was cold. "Too little, too late." Nearby, Dr. Malik and his team scoured intercepted Council transmissions, their faces pale in the glow of their screens. "Commander, you need to see this," Malik said, handing over encrypted data. "The Council attempted to seed false tech, upgrades into Earth's military networks years ago. Sabotage masquerading as gifts." Riker's jaw tightened. "They weaponized our own innovations against us." The room fell silent, the gravity of deception sinking in. Malik continued, "They underestimated not just our technology, but our will. They thought a few viral codes could cripple us from within." Elena paced, the burden of betrayal settling, like ash in her lungs. "Every death, every sacrifice was made necessary by their lies." Kreltar spoke again, voice trembling. "There are those within the Council who regret this war. But regret is no shield from your vengeance." Elena met his gaze, unwavering. "No, regret doesn't save lives. Only strength does." Outside, the hum of the fleet echoed like a heartbeat. Strong, relentless, unforgiving. The Council's fractures became clear. Once mighty, now cracked by fear and underestimation, and Earth's fury was the hammer ready to shatter them all. The cold corridors of the ISS Vengeance thrummed with tense energy. News of the Council's fractured loyalties had spread through the fleet like wildfire. Whispers of betrayal fueled a growing resolve in the hearts of Earth's defenders. Commander Elena Riker stood on the command deck, her gaze fixed on the holographic star map pulsing before her. The Council's splintered forces moved erratically, some retreating, others consolidating under fear, and a few desperate to strike back. "Status report," Elena commanded, voice sharp. Lieutenant Soren replied, fingers dancing across the console. "Recon drones confirm multiple Council warships regrouping near the outer rim. Scanners detect heavy shield fluctuations, preparing for a counterstrike." Elena's jaw clenched. "They underestimate us still." Nearby, Dr. Malik entered. The room, datapad in hand. "Commander, we've decoded more of the Council's transmissions. Their internal divisions run deep. Some factions are reaching out to Earth, offering ceasefires, even alliances. Bribes and lies," Elena said bitterly. "We can't trust those who try to assassinate our future." Malik nodded grimly. "Agreed. But it means the Council is desperate. That gives us leverage." Across the room, Kreltar sat silently, his multiple eyes reflecting the starlight. When Elena addressed him, he spoke with cautious hope. "If your people wield strength with honor, there may yet be peace after this storm." Elena allowed herself a brief glance at him, then returned to the star map. "Peace will come on our terms." The fleet's engines hummed louder as the ISS Vengeance prepared to jump into the thick of battle. Outside the reinforced glass, stars blurred into streaks of light, the prelude to war. Elena's voice dropped to a fierce whisper, almost to herself. "Let the Council see what happens." When you break Earth's trust, the rising storm was no longer just a battle for survival. It was a reckoning. The aftermath of the battle was a bitter silence, broken only by the hum of damaged engines and distant alarms. The ISS Vengeance floated amid the wreckage of shattered Council cruisers, but the victory felt hollow. Commander Elena Riker surveyed the command deck, exhaustion etched on her face. The fleet had pushed the Council back for now, but the cost was steep. "We've broken their lines, but the fractures run deeper than we imagined," she said, voice heavy with resolve. Dr. Malik approached, holding fresh intelligence. "Council factions are splintering into chaos. Some are rallying under warlords hungry for revenge. Others are seeking refuge, even surrender." Krelthar's gaze was haunted. "Their unity is gone, but desperation breeds danger. Rogue elements will lash out without control." Elena nodded grimly. "We must be ready for anything." Suddenly, a secure comm channel flickered to life. A voice crackled through, urgent, unfamiliar. "This is Ambassador Thalen of the Council's Peace Faction," the message began. "We seek parley with Earth Command. The war has become a ruin none of us desire." Riker exchanged a glance with Malik and Krelthar. Could this be a chance to end the cycle of vengeance? "Prepare a delegation," Elena ordered, "but keep all defenses active. Trust is shattered, but the future depends on cautious hope." As preparations began, Elena couldn't shake the weight of betrayal still lingering in the ship's cold metal bones. The Council had gambled on Earth's downfall and lost. Now the question was whether any among them were willing to build from the ruins. Outside the viewport, distant stars shimmered with the promise of either peace or the fury of war renewed. The conference room aboard the ISS Vengeance was stark and unyielding, a cold testament to the precarious moment unfolding within its walls. Around the polished metal table sat Commander Elena Riker, Dr. Malik, Krelthar, and the Council's envoy, Ambassador Thalen, a figure marked by cautious weariness. Thalen's voice was steady but measured. "Our peace faction cannot undo the damage wrought by our warhawks, but we seek a new path. Earth's resilience changed the course of this conflict." Elena studied him. "Your faction allowed sabotage, assassination attempts, and lies. What guarantee do we have this won't continue?" Thalen's eyes flickered with honest regret. "None but our actions moving forward. We offer to dismantle covert operations against Earth and open channels of transparent cooperation." Malik interjected, "We have proof of their previous manipulations. Trust isn't given lightly." Elena nodded. "Peace will be fragile on a blade's edge. But if we break it now, the war will reignite worse than before." Krelthar added quietly, "This alliance is not just political. It's survival. The Council fractured because of fear and underestimation. Both sides must rebuild trust brick by brick." After hours of tense negotiations, tentative agreements were laid out. Cessation of hostilities, mutual technology sharing under strict supervision, and joint efforts to rebuild war-torn sectors. As the delegates rose to leave, Elena felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. The past could not be erased, but a new future had begun, one born of broken trust, but forged with cautious hope. Outside the ISS Vengeance, the stars burned bright, a silent witness to the fragile pact holding the universe at a delicate balance. Peace was tentative, a thin veneer stretched across a battlefield still scarred by distrust. Back aboard the ISS Vengeance, the crew worked tirelessly to enforce the fragile pact, but shadows lingered. Commander Elena Riker stood in the ship's war room, eyes fixed on incoming data streams, reports of isolated Council warlords ignoring. Ceasefire orders stirred unease. "We agreed on peace, but not all factions heed the call," Eleanor said, voice tight. Their rogue elements threaten to drag us back into chaos. Dr. Malik grimaced at the diagnostics. Our cyber defenses are on high alert. Attempts to breach Earth's networks persist. Smaller, more covert but persistent. Krelthar's many eyes reflected his growing concern. Fear and vengeance don't die quickly. These echoes of war will haunt us if left unchecked. Eleanor clenched her fists. We must strike a balance, strength to deter violence, but restraint to build trust. Outside the command deck viewport, stars stretched in silent vigil as the fleet maintained patrols along contested borders. Each blip on the radar carried the weight of potential conflict or fragile peace. The Council's fractured legacy was not yet behind them, but Earth's resolve had never been stronger. We hold the line, Elena vowed, for every life lost and every future yet to come. The ISS Vengeance drifted quietly in orbit around a war-ravaged planet, a somber reminder of the cost exacted by years of conflict. Commander Elena Riker stood alone on the observation deck, staring at the scarred surface below. Dr. Malik approached softly, holding a data tablet. New intel, Commander. A faction within the Council is offering to surrender key outposts in exchange for asylum. Eleanor didn't look away from the planet. We've seen their promises before. What makes this different? Malik hesitated. Their leaders appear sincere, fearful of further destruction. They want to break the cycle. Krelthar joined them, voice low but steady. Redemption is a path fraught with shadows. But even the darkest past can't forever deny the chance to choose light. Elena finally met their eyes, resolve hardening. If they truly want peace, we give them a chance. But any betrayal will be met with the full force of Earth's justice. The fragile alliances forged in desperation now faced their ultimate test. Could the shattered Council rise from its ruins? Could humanity forgive and rebuild? Outside, the distant stars glimmered like distant promises. Fragile yet unwavering, the conference chamber aboard the ISS Vengeance was filled with tension. Delegates from Earth and the fracturing Council sat opposite one another, faces etched. With fatigue and wary hope, Commander Eleanor Riker stood at the center, her presence commanding silence. Peace comes at a cost, she began. We cannot forget the sacrifices made, nor ignore the vigilance required. Ambassador Thalen nodded, solemnly. Agreed, our factions will disarm key weapon caches and submit to joint oversight, but this trust will take time to rebuild. Dr. Malik presented a holographic map, pinpointing areas devastated by war, territories ripe for humanitarian aid and reconstruction efforts. We must focus on healing, not just in battlefields but in hearts and minds. Kreltar's voice was steady. The price of peace is eternal vigilance and willingness to forgive. Both sides must hold to their promises. Suddenly, an alert sounded. Communications flagged a rogue council faction attacking a neutral colony, an act threatening to unravel fragile negotiations. Elena's eyes hardened. This is why we cannot lower our guard. The room erupted into action, orders sent swiftly to contain the threat. The price of peace was clear, hard choices, unyielding strength, and a resolve to prevent the past from repeating. As the fleet mobilized, Elena knew this was only the beginning. The road ahead was perilous, but Earth's spirit would not falter. The price was high, but peace was worth every sacrifice. The cold silence of space had never felt heavier. The ISS Vengeance hovered just beyond the shattered orbit of the neutral colony that had fallen victim to the rogue Council faction's assault. Smoke still curled from the colony's surface, a grim reminder that the fragile peace they had fought to build could be shattered in moments. Commander Elena Riker stood at the viewport, her reflection fractured by the starlight. Her jaw was tight, her mind racing. This attack was more than a breach of trust. It was a declaration of war renewed, a call to action she could not ignore. Dr. Malik approached cautiously, data tablet in hand, his face grim. Satellite imagery shows widespread devastation. Civilian casualties are high, and critical infrastructure is offline. This wasn't a simple raid. This was meant to send a message. Elena nodded slowly, eyes never leaving the burning colony below. A message of fear, meant to undo everything we've fought for. Behind them, Kreltar's multifaceted eyes betrayed a deep sadness. There are those among the Council who still seek domination through chaos. These warlords reject peace entirely. Elena turned sharply. Then we will show them that Earth does not cower. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves, and we will hunt down those responsible. The ship's command deck buzzed with activity as news of the attack spread through the fleet. Orders were issued swiftly. Dispatch rescue teams, deploy defensive patrols, and launch a full-scale investigation into the rogue faction's command structure. Lieutenant Soren's fingers flew over the tactical display. Recon drones have identified several enemy warships retreating toward the asteroid belt in the sector beyond. They're heavily armed but low on shields. Elena's gaze hardened. They think they can hide in the debris. We will bring the storm to them. As preparations for pursuit began, Elena gathered her senior officers in the strategy room. The air was thick with tension and determination. This attack threatens not only innocent lives, but the very foundation of the fragile peace we negotiated, she said. We must respond decisively, but with precision. We cannot afford another protracted war. Dr. Malik added, We've analyzed their communication networks. The rogue faction is fractured. Internal disputes are tearing them apart. This could be an opportunity to isolate and dismantle them. Kreltar leaned forward, voice low. But we must beware their desperation. A cornered beast is unpredictable and deadly. Elena met each of their eyes in turn. Our mission is clear. Protect the innocent. Dismantle the rogue faction and restore order. No more betrayals, no more broken trust. The fleet surged forward, engines blazing as the ISS Vengeance led the charge toward the asteroid belt. The cold void became a chessboard of looming rock formations and swirling debris, perfect cover for the fleeing enemy. Recon drones darted through the shadows, sending back live feeds of enemy movements. The rogue warships were scattered, but dangerous, their captains fighting fiercely to maintain control over dwindling forces. Elena stood on the bridge, commanding with unwavering resolve. Target the lead vessel. Disable their shields without destroying the ship. We want them alive. For answers, tactical officers relayed commands with precision. Laser blasts flared, and energy pulses crackled across the void. One by one, the rogue vessels fell under the fleet's coordinated assault, shields collapsing and weapons silenced. But then, the unexpected. A massive explosion rocked the asteroid field, sending shockwaves through the fleet's sensors. What was that? Elena demanded. Soren's voice was tense. A trap. The rogue faction detonated a hidden weapons cache among the asteroids. We're taking heavy fire. Alarms blared as the fleet scrambled to evade debris and blasts. The once clear pursuit turned into a deadly game of survival amid the shattered. Elena's voice cut through the chaos. Maintain formation, protect the rescue units at all costs. As the battle raged, Elena's thoughts drifted back to the neutral colony, to the innocent lives destroyed by the rogue faction's cruelty. It was that memory that steeled her resolve. We fight not just for Earth, but for every world caught in this war, she whispered. Suddenly an alert flashed, a distress signal from a hidden pod escaping the battlefield. Launch a retrieval team, Elena ordered immediately. Minutes later, the pod was secured aboard the Vengeance. Inside was a lone figure, battered but alive, a former high-ranking officer of the rogue faction. The prisoner's eyes, weary yet defiant, met Elena's. You don't understand, he rasped. We were betrayed by our own. The warlords seek chaos to seize power. They're destroying everything we once stood for. Elena's gaze hardened. "Then you will help us stop them." Interrogations began, and the prisoner revealed a fractured map of the rogue faction's leadership, their plans and vulnerabilities. It was a breakthrough, one that could tip the scales. Dr. Malik worked feverishly to decrypt hidden communications, uncovering the faction's network of secret bases and supply lines. Kreltar's insights into council politics helped Elena anticipate moves and counter their strategies. With each revelation, the fleet's counterattack grew stronger, more precise, but the cost was not lost on anyone. Elena stood once more on the observation deck, watching as rescue ships descended to the neutral colony to aid survivors. "Peace is not won in a day," she murmured. "It is forged through sacrifice, strength, and unyielding will." Behind her, Malik nodded, "And through the courage to face our darkest moments." Elena's eyes met Kreltar's. "The council may be broken, but the dawn is coming. This is our reckoning." The stars outside blazed with cold light, silent witnesses to the war that would decide the fate of many worlds.